Hello everybody, this is Socrates' son. Today I will be responding to a debate that happened yesterday between Abdullah al Andalusi and Dr. Graham Oppy. Islam or liberalism, which is better for humanity? Of course, the only reason that's even debatable is because there is a vast population of Islamists in this world, not because those two are close or it's an open question. It's like debating what is better, liberalism or Nazism. That question was only relevant before World War II. Now it's a silly question, of course. But exactly because we have many Islamists in this world, this debate subject became relevant. Okay.
So the topic tonight is liberalism and Islam. That's the topic. And I think the importance of this topic is a little bit hard to underestimate because there's a real sense in which the traditional Muslim today has experienced the brunt of the expansionary liberal enlightenment project in both, I guess it's epistemic form for sure, but also there's also a sense in which there's a political and military expansion that Muslims have to contend with simultaneously. And so I guess going forward, there's a tension. The tension is there's the real need for debate. Both of these traditions, on the one hand, we have the liberal enlightened tradition, which comes from the rights of man discourse through to the modern international system we have today, built around the UN Declaration of Human Rights, the system of Westphalian nation states, and all the rest of it, sort of in many senses at odds with Islam, which is a 1400-year-old aqidah or worldview with a long history of its own tradition and jurisprudence. And both are sort of claiming the right to legitimacy as frameworks for world building. I think that seems to be what's happening on the one hand, right? On the other, the charges that are made about Islam, about its backwardness, its savagery, its medieval quality, if you like, these charges are a product of a colonial legacy. These are a product of a Orientalist worldview, and they...
So, before we even start the debate, someone can see some characteristics political Islam will bring to the world if, God forbids, this mental disease ever dominates this world. The complete death of objectivity, the complete death of self-criticism and self-reflect, the demonization of everything not Islam, the assault against moral common sense and moral objectivity, and the complete erase of historical truth. Look what this guy just said. The charges that are made against Islam, he says, about its backwardness, savagery, its medieval quality, these charges, he says, are a product of colonial legacy, a product of the Orientalist worldview. No, my friend, those are undeniable, simple facts of reality. Islam is backward. What colonialism has to do with that? Islam is savage. You stone people to death, you cut hands, you throw gays out of buildings. That's the definition of being savage. You flog people. If that is not savage, then what is savage? What colonialism has to do with that? And Islam is medieval. You apply the political views of Arabs of the 7th century. The 7th century is medieval. So, what colonialism has to do with that?
They're sort of part of an apparatus that has dislocated, dismembered, and sort of exported chaos to many parts of the Muslim world. It is a post-colonial lens by which the Muslim world is seen, by which it's imagined.
Yeah. Although we are intrigued by your non-biased, non-radical perspective, you see the world, let's go to the actual debate.
So in essence, liberalism kind of, in a nutshell, is the political liberalism or secular liberalism, in a nutshell, concerns the prioritization of the individual above all other political concerns. So the individual human being being the most important or most preeminent value over state, society, religion, or any other higher narratives. At least this is the official, you could say, or a particular stream of the definitions of liberalism. That's in theory. Some people might say in practice it means...
That's simply wrong. Liberal democratic countries, as they manifest in this world today, value ethnicity the state and moral symbolism above the individual. Of course, the individual and families, being the fundamental building block of societies, are also valued. In contrast, Islam doesn't value the individual, doesn't value ethnicity, neither moral symbolism. Islam only values Islamic supremacy. In Islam, the individual is an expendable commodity for Islamic supremacy.
The harm principle, so that everyone should be allowed to do what they want by the state as long as they don't harm people, or people should be given, another definition is people should be given as much rights as possible, as much freedoms as possible, up to the equal freedoms of other people. The key term is as much as possible, and there's a big discussion as to what that means, what is possible and what is prudent as well. So that's kind of liberalism. Some might say that liberalism doesn't really offer any higher narrative. It's just a pragmatic means of organizing political societies in the presence of, let's say, competing ideas of what is good. Although many of the liberal thinkers did suggest what is good, or they tried to define it, because if the state is going to allow everyone to pursue what is good and make laws against what is bad, it needs to have its own definition of what is good and bad. And so the state now has to adopt some particular definition. So in essence, that's kind of the creed of liberalism summated. As for Islamic law, well, there are kind of two aspects to this discussion, I think. One is in terms of what these ways of life or what these worldviews do, is they deal with what a way of life.
Okay, let me help you with that, because I see you are reluctant to say what it is. Islamic law is rules and regulations by Muslim scholars interpreting Islamic mythology and urban myths with a single intended outcome: Islamic supremacy and Islamic world domination, irrespective of human, social, and individual well-being. That is Islamic law. That is the definition. Okay, full stop.
Worldview should do is it should deal with, obviously, an idea of meaning, and then an idea of how to organize human beings according to a higher meaning. Liberalism does lack that. It does lack any particular higher meaning other than a type of pragmatic calculus to avoid quote-unquote conflict, but it doesn't specify why conflict is bad per se, other than it could impinge upon the fundamental value of the human being.
And that's why ideologues make bad politicians. In politics, we need practice, not ideology. Okay, so you can use ideology in the classroom or in philosophy, but in politics, we go with practice, with outlook human well-being, exactly the opposite of what Islam is doing. Okay, and all the ideologues in history, you know who were the ideologues? Stalin, Hitler, those were the ideologues in human history. We humans like human and social and individual well-being in order to be able to do philosophy afterwards. Okay, so politics is to make a functional society. It's not to make philosophy. As what's your name? Okay, so
now here's the issue. Liberalism posits that humans are independent. They used to say that they have a natural right to freedom based on what they would like before they came into society. So humans were like individuals in the wild, roaming around as individuals in perfect freedom, but because they feared violence from each other, they formed societies and made a social contract. The issue is that never really corresponded with what we can see from anthropology and ancient human beings.
Andalusi, why prisons is torture? Why? Why being in jail is torture? Because freedom is innate in human physiology, in the basic level, in our basic instincts, in the nature we all share. So, promoting and advocating for freedom, social freedom, that relates to the human physiology. Okay. Being against freedom, that's against the human physiology. Okay. So we don't need to be unnecessarily against freedom. Of course, I don't have the freedom to start shooting people or start raping people. Okay, so we should have as freedom as possible. Yet Islam comes and reduces freedom or goes against freedom for no reason, my friend, other than the delusions you have in your head. Okay, other than the ghosts you have in your head. Okay, that is the difference.
And so what we find is that the model which you could say the first liberal thinkers based their system on is inaccurate when it comes to human beings. The ontology is wrong. Humans have lived in family units, extended family units, sometimes up to 30 people in a kind of self-supporting system. They were taught language, they were taught skills and they were cultured, and they were taught the beliefs of their particular.
As Abdullah, we in the West, believe it or not, we also have social contract and societies. We are not nomads. Look now the irony, guys. The nomads, some nomads of the 7th century in some deserts, come now and accuse the West of being nomads. Yes, we in Greece that had democracy 300 years before Christ, we were nomads. We didn't have any societies. We were just with the camels. We were in the Icelands, in the Iceland of Chios, with a camel. Yeah.
A clan or kind of nomadic group. And this has always been humans. Humans have never been individuals roaming around in the wild by themselves. So the entire premise of liberalism was based on trying to restore that natural right, you could say, to human beings. They were used to be free as individuals before, so now we're going to try and make them as free as possible in this political state.
Freedom is innate to human physiology, my friend, in the basic levels. Okay, so we don't need to unnecessarily torture people, you idiot. That is the difference. These guys go to first principles like they pretend like Islam is the innate natural state of things. Are you serious, my friend? Are you serious? This kind of oppression Islam inflicts to this world, complete annihilation of freedom of conscience and freedom of speech, and you should not do stuff. Why? Because I have some ghosts in my head. This kind is the natural state of things. This is what you are trying to say right now. Yeah, right. Humans naturally were in this state. And of course, naturally, they had arranged marriages, polygamy, okay, in contradiction to animals that are mostly monogamous. Humans were polygamous, naturally. And naturally, they were marrying little ones. Not even animals marry little ones, but humans naturally married the little ones. And at some point, liberalism came and artificially imposes love before recreating. This unnatural, artificial state of the human affairs. Love. This unnatural, artificial state. Although the natural state is arranged marriages. And yes, Islamic slavery and sex slaves. That's the natural state of things, guys. As Abdullah, the only reason you continue to be a public speaker is that you say many things. If we stop for a moment and we analyze every word you say, you won't be able to speak publicly ever again. Okay.
for them to do whatever they want, because they're naturally individuals. Whereas, as we know, humans, if you look at both the human psychology and sociology, we certainly, and why we have something called sociology is because humans are not actually only individuals, but we interrelate, and a lot of our own identity, our way of thinking, tastes is shaped by society, including our ability to speak languages. So that's the issue. That's the problem with the liberal ontology. The Islamic ontology is quite different, and I'll kind of summate Islam and Islamic law.
Wait, what did you just say? Look, this guy made a huge straw man right now. He said that we all know that liberalism is anarchy. What? Liberalism is anarchy. We only value the individual and we want to live as nomads. Is that what you're saying right now? Guys, sorry for the, how can I say that? Not formal way that I respond to these idiots because I cannot take them seriously. Okay, so I cannot. Yeah, please tell us your psychopathology. Yes, what you. We in the West are nomads, and the Botswana question. Guys, your arguments, Muslims, your arguments are. No wonder you are Muslims, my friend. The stupidity of your arguments fits perfectly with the stupidity of Islam. Perfectly. Okay. Please continue. Tell us. The nomads.
The first aspect of Islamic law is it deals with meaning. There has to be a relation between the system and basically a higher understanding of the world, the cosmos. So the Islamic worldview upon which Islamic law emanates from states that all things exist in nature with natural regularities of their existence.
In other words, we should make societies based on blind following the interpretation of Islamic mythology and urban myths by deluded cultists, irrespective and in fact in the face of social and individual well-being. That is what you are proposing, Abdullah. Okay. You can call this absolute meaning like the next person in the mental hospital calls his theory absolute meaning. Like the next person calls his theory the absolute meaning. Like the next person that happened to be called Stalin calls his delusion the absolute meaning. Okay. Wait, your absolute meaning contradicts, let's say, what Socrates said. Why we should believe you? Did Socrates say, for example, the ultimate good is blindly following an evil cult? Did Socrates say this? Why we should believe what you say, my friend? And that's the difference of democracy with your system. Your system imposes your beliefs to others. Our system, everyone has his ideas, and the best idea dominates. Okay, that's the difference.
We call these regularities laws. So everything in the universe has natural laws upon which it operates, by which it operates. Natural objects do not have the capacity to do other than their determined laws. And all objects that are in this universe, everything that exists in the universe, from the Islamic worldview, bears testament to the creator of the universe, and not only their existence, but also the behaviors that they have been determined with, i.e. the natural laws of their existence. They bear testimony to God as the creator of them, because God creates both these things and how they behave.
Unsubstantiated presuppositions in Islamic law. First, God exists. Secondly, God is Allah. Thirdly, Muhammad talked to God, to Allah. Fourthly, the Islamic sources are reliable. 5. The interpretations of those sources are reliable. 6. Islamic sources give detailed exposition how to run societies, and it's not childish, contradictory, apocalyptic half-words of people with Down syndrome. That's the 6. 7. Islam cares about social well-being and not destroying the world for a test, for example. 8. How people implement those laws. Even if in theory you have the best laws, what if in real life that translates to ISIS, for example? In other words, you are not making a sound argument. Your premises are not substantiated. In contrast, democracy represents simple moral common sense. It's dynamic and all-encompassing. Democracy is not the dictatorship of liberalism, as you like people to believe. We have democracy and we have dictatorship.
So thus, the Islamic worldview views the purpose of all things to be manifestations of this aspect of God. Humans, as creatures whose bodies are material, do share the same purpose as everything else in this universe. However, we have a few attributes that other material things do not have. Namely, we are created with intellect and free will. And both were created to bear witness to the Creator. So these particular aspects, intellect and free will, like every other attribute in this universe, bears witness to the Creator which made them in the first place.
Guys, look what this ape is saying right now. Okay, I'm intentionally insulting him in order to understand the gravity of how toxic are those ideas. Look what this ape just said. He said, in Islamic worldview, everything is worshipping Allah. Our intellect was created to worship Allah. And under this presupposition, we build societies. In other words, what I was describing earlier. Make societies with outlook Islamic supremacy and not outlook well-being. Reject all intellect that doesn't aim Islamic supremacy. This is what this guy says right now. Clear cut. Okay, this is the ideology of ISIS. Andalusi, politics are meant to practically use reason with prospect well-being, not use blind faith with outlook Islamic supremacy. Okay, that what you are describing is not politics. What you are describing is you dictating the world under your psychotic delusion with prospect Islamic supremacy. That will never happen, you idiot. The mere fact that you even dare to propose this absurdity only demonstrates your intellectual level. Okay. That will never happen, Andalusi, because that is the end of the human civilization. My friend, what you are describing right now is literally the end of the human civilization, and it won't happen, Andalusi.
Because the first edition of the French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo is to feature a new cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. As we've been hearing, the cartoon depicts the Prophet holding a Je suis Charlie sign and also with the words "All is forgiven" on that cover. Well, with me now is the Islamic affairs specialist Abdullah al Andalusi. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
One of the columnists, the surviving columnists from the Charlie Hebdo magazine, is saying that this new cover is about ensuring that his colleagues are not censored after their death. Do you accept that rationale, that reasoning?
Well, no doubt that's probably their motivation is trying to portray a sense of defiance in the face of the attacks and so on. But I don't think that that's really the issues that we should be focusing on. I mean, sure, the attacks were very horrific and should never have happened. But we shouldn't let that cloud the issue of the status of the Muslim community in France, how they're treated, demonized, vilified, denied rights. Women are denied the rights to wear what they want in public, to pray in public, and so on and so forth.
Who believes that the issue here is the Sharia promulgator, Abdullah al Andalusi, cares about women's rights in France. And that's why he objects Charlie Hebdo. Or maybe the only thing Abdullah al Andalusi cares about is protecting the honor of the Prophet and Islamic supremacy. So what I'm getting to is that radical Islamists like Abdullah al Andalusi only care about Islamic supremacy. They don't care about healthy societies. They don't really care about women's rights and economy. They don't care if the world, in fact, burns to the ground. The only thing they care is to make Islam supreme. Just because they dress their blind faith with reason, supposedly, that doesn't change that fact. That's why this kind of delusive radicals should never be trusted in politics. Politics doesn't aim Islamic supremacy. Politics is not done with blind faith. to medieval scriptures. Politics is done with reason, prospect human well-being.
Shuffle in their feet, people sleeping in their shoes. There's a warning sign in the road ahead. There's a lot of people saying we'd be better off dead. Don't feel like Satan crying out to them, so I try to forgive them anyway I can. If I'm walking in the free world, I'm walking in the free world. I see a girl in the night with a baby in her hand. I'm near an old street light. I'm near a garbage can. Now she put her kid away. She's gonna get a hit. She hates her life and what she's done with it. That's one more kid. Never go to school. Keep on rocking in the free world.
Tra la 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 la.
Keep on rocking in the free world. Keep on rocking in the free world.
The world I see, knowing that it's not true, knowing days is not what I go through. You keep restocking and I know what to do.
There's 1,000 points of light for the colored man. There's a kinder, gentler policeman take. Now there's this hardest storm in Florida. Down upon the garbage for the ozone layer. There's a man on the people, and we were alive. Got killed and hurt, got roasted alive. Keep on rocking in the free world. Keep on rocking in the free world. Keep on rocking in the free world. Yeah. Keep on rocking in the free world. Yeah.
Okay, enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Wow, nice song.